Thank you. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. We will have more time to greet each other and share stories in the social hour after the service. And as always, it will include fantastic coffee and great conversation.
We now turn from our warm and informal greeting of one another to formally begin our service by lighting our chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the symbol of our unity and solidarity, of our openness and inclusion, of our community and individual uniqueness. May the small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need. May it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth is lost, and cast a shadow of doubt wherever truth has been found. Our opening reflection is by Elizabeth Lerner McClay, and it's called So We Are Bound Together. As drops of rain that find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea, so we are drawn together, so we are fortunate to find each other, so we are bound together on this shared passage toward an unknown ocean and eternity.
Good morning. So you may have noticed in your order of service this morning that instead of singing together, it says making music together. And that is because instead of just using our mouths this morning, we're going to make music with our entire bodies. This is a bit of an exercise in trust. I'm going to lead you in a rain exercise. Some of you probably will recognize it. And as we finish, Deb is going to teach us a chant. Our screen isn't working this morning, and it's not in our hymnals. So she's going to teach it to us phrase by phrase. We'll do some repeating, and then repeat the whole thing a couple times through. We'll start with the rain exercise. So please stand as you're willing and able. If you can't see me, watch your neighbor, and we'll make it work.
So call and response. I take delight in the peace of the river. I take delight in the peace of the river that flows so gently to the strength of the sea, that flows so gently to the strength of the sea. And I take delight in the love that is flowing, and I take delight in the love that is flowing, just like a river between you and me, just like a river between you and me. I take delight in the peace of the river. I take delight in the peace of the river that flows so gently to the strength of the sea, that flows so gently to the strength of the sea. And I take delight in the love that is flowing, and I take delight in the love that is flowing, just like a river between you and me together. I take delight in the peace of the river that flows so gently to the strength of the sea. And I take delight in the love that is flowing just like a river between you and me. I take delight in the peace of the river that flows so gently to the strength of the sea. And I take delight in the love that is flowing just like a river between you and me. Once more. I take delight in the peace of the river that flows so gently to the strength of the sea. And I take delight in the love that is flowing just like a river between you and me.
Thank you, Dave. Woo. Okay, hi there, everybody. So it's still a little loud, maybe down just a bit. Test, test, test. Hello? Little. Might be because I'm in the center of the room or there's another mic on. How's that? Your ears hurt, Purple? It's awful. It's like, there we go. How's that? Good? Okay, all right. Well, I don't know if I would want to invite anybody down. If you want to come sit on the floor, you can, but you don't have to. So it's good to see everyone. This is my friend Purple, and we haven't seen him for a little bit. So how you doing, Purple? Purple, how's it going? Purple, what are you doing? Oh, now you made me lose count again. Oh, I'm sorry. What are you counting? I'm trying to count to 1 billion. You're trying to count to 1 billion? Yeah. Well, but I keep getting distracted. Last night I almost got to 100, but I fell asleep. Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. 1 billion is a very big number. It's going to take you quite a long time to get to 1 billion. I don't think anybody's ever done it before. Well, I better get started. 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. You don't quite understand. Let's try it this way. So how old are you right now? I can't remember. 5 or 6? 6. That's right. You're 6. Okay, so if you start counting to 1 billion right now and you don't stop, you will be 37 years old before you're done. Wow, I better hurry. Well, that's not going to work either. Let's see. Let's try it like, oh, I know. An amazing thing happened this week. I don't know how many of you heard about this, but in the news, something amazing happened in Mars. Did you hear about this? You mean outer space? No, I mean McLean, Virginia, the Mars Candy Company. Yeah, they committed to giving $1 billion to fight global warming. Yeah. Now, so do you have any idea how huge $1 billion is, Purple? Oh, is it as big as an elephant? Big as an elephant. $1 billion weighs as much as 400 elephants. Wow! Yeah, you could cover 23 football fields with $1 billion and still have money left over. Wow! Yeah, that's pretty amazing. In fact, if you lined up $1 billion end to end, you could wrap around the earth 4 times. Oh! How long would it take me to go around the earth 4 times? Well, let's see. If you multiply the circumference, 24,910,000 by the average length of time it takes to walk around the earth, you would be very, very old. Older than you? Yeah. Yes, even older than me. But I tell you what, instead of counting to 1 billion, is our way of saying thanks to such tremendous generosity and corporate responsibility for our earth. Our ushers are going to hand out Mars candy to everyone in the room this morning. Yeah. And So if you disclaimer, if you are a little person, make sure you check with your parents that it's okay, especially should you might have some food allergies or something like that. But enjoy, and what a great thing, think what we're going to be able to do with $1 billion. So instead of counting, we'll just count on the goodwill of people and including companies like Mars to do the right thing. Thank you, Purple. Thank you.
Well, it's unusual that I would do the offertory introduction, but here I am. Today we are dedicating all the music, and especially this offertory music, to Mickey Thompson, who is a longtime member of this church and a longtime member of the choir. He was in the choir over 20 years, and he had a beautiful bass baritone voice. And one of the many reasons we picked this song, the River Song, is because it has a bass baritone solo at the beginning of it. And all of us that used to sing this with him can still hear his voice in that solo. Mickey worked hard for many years on the building and grounds. He was on the board for a while. He has done so many things for the church that we just wanted to bring that to your attention and dedicate things to him today. So now we can gratefully receive and give the offering for this morning.
Keep that Each time we gather as a congregation, there are always those who are with us in our minds and hearts and who we want to wrap in our love and care. We kindle light this morning for Carol Bryan and Mariah McKay and their entire family after the death of Mariah's cousin Luke this week. Luke, who suffered from depression and autism, took his own life. He was greatly loved and will be missed. We kindle a candle for Dell and Jan Lilligrim's daughter Diane, who will have cancer surgery this month. And we light a candle for all those suffering from the impacts of the earthquake and hurricanes around the world. Let us share a moment in silence, embracing others who are here in our hearts this morning. You're welcome to say their names aloud as you are willing. Those named aloud and those remembered in the silence, and all those who are suffering elsewhere in our world this hour, we hold in our community of compassion.
This morning's meditation will be a guided one. Please join as is comfortable for you. Find a comfortable way to sit. Take a deep breath and slowly let it out. Feel the way your chest expands as you breathe deeply and slowly. Feel your feet on the ground and the chair against your back supporting you. Now, slowly raise your hand so that it is palm up and flat in front of you. Look at the lines on your palm. Use your pointer finger on your other hand and begin to slowly trace these lines. Are some of them deeper than others? Do they all connect? Sometimes when I look at the palm of my hand, all the lines remind me of a map of rivers and streams. Rivers and streams move and change over time, and I know that my hands will too. But the way that the lines connect also reminds me of the connection I carry with me to who I have been, who I will become, and the people around me. Turn to someone next to you and look at their palm. Do the lines on their hand look like yours? Do some of them look different? What stories might be in their lines? What connections can you see in their hands? If it feels comfortable for you, go ahead and hold the hand of the person next to you. Feel in the lines in their hand that their journey has been complex and difficult and joyous, and that you have both been led here right now to be in beloved community together. Gathering together in community and faith does not just mean that we come together to grow and explore and work for a better world. We do all of that. But it also means that we have a common home base. Summer is often the time in our lives when we leave our home community for adventure. We take advantage of the sun and find our church in the woods, in the rivers, and on the beaches, or even just in our backyard with a book. And it is sometimes important to leave, to explore and learn new things, and try different ways of being in the world. It gives us more and varied perspective. So when we come back to our home base, our source, we are hopefully rejuvenated and excited about the work that we do together. We can see our whole from a slightly different angle and bring to one another our experience, new ideas, and excitement. A couple of families from our congregation will share this morning from what it means to them to have this spiritual home and this beloved community to always come back to. I'd like to invite Carla Brannon to start.
At the beginning of the script, it said not to say good morning because I was going to say that in a little while, and now that's what I want to say. This year marks my 21st year in the Unitarian Church, which is the age that one of our members, Aaron Cameron, turned a few days ago. And when I first started at the church, actually, I think it was when I turned professional. I was the office administrator for a number of years, and she was underneath the table, not wanting to help us with the order of service. And I was just taken. I was not going to be a mother and at that time. And I was taken by Barb bringing her girls in at, I don't know, we'll say 3 and 5 to volunteer, which was kind of taxing at sometimes, but really rich at other times. And I'm a member here because I allowed myself to be my procrastinative nature and just to get up here and riff. And that's kind of scary, maybe for you too. I'm a member of this church because I get to have a relationship with David Eagle. And I wouldn't have that outside of this church because we walk in the world in really different ways. He showed up for me when I started being the office administrator, and he gave me countless hours, and he served all of you for that as well. I was reminded this morning when I was being chatty, when the choir was rehearsing, and Deborah said in a very direct and succinct way that we needed to whisper. That used to scare the shit out of me. And I know how to do that now in my life. I've been here through a number of ministers. I was fired by one of them. And if there were another Unitarian church, if I lived in Seattle, if I lived in Portland, I would have just gone down the street. It would have been the easiest thing to do. I couldn't do that here. We live in a conservative area. And I don't know, the North Idaho Church, come on, it's really small. I'm an extrovert. I need a lot of you. I kept coming back. I had to ask someone to give me a time signal today just so you guys all know that this is going to end. My first volunteer job with the church was being the recorder for the Board of Trustees. Mary Lou Johnson was the president of the board at the time, and she was so gracious with me because to me it felt like I was in charge of peace in the world. And I wanted to show her everything I did, and she was so kind about it. In one of I may not have this exactly right, but in one of my first experiences with the board, we had a gentleman come to speak to us who wanted to use a room in the sanctuary to help someone end their life because they were in such extreme pain. At the time, it was illegal. I was so confused. I was floored. I thought I was part of a cult. I mean, I had all these things going in through my mind. It scared me so bad. And we held space for him, and we honored him and his experience and what he wanted to do. I just continued to get to grow up here. I didn't sing before I came to the Unitarian Church unless there was karaoke and alcohol and a straight man, which is odd. I came out as a lesbian in a limerick at the annual dinner. I love that it was families were going to speak this morning because I've been in several different configurations of family. And I'm here, and I'm a single person, and I'm a stepmom to a rockin' 11-year-old. And I just got dumped yesterday, and I still get to show up, and we get to do amazing things in the world. And what I know is that I belong here, and you belong here, because the only requirement to be here is a desire. And you all meet that because here you are. Together we make this church community, and I hope you find what you need and want here, and I know you can. Thank you.
It's green. Yay! So despite this being my own prompt, I had a really hard time writing about what it means to be in beloved community with you all and with the UU world as a whole. So instead, I want to tell you a story about the first time that I was in an advisor-ish role at a church. I was facilitating OWL for junior high. If you're not familiar with OWL, it's the comprehensive sexuality education course for children and youth developed in partnership by the Unitarian Universalist Association and the United Church of Christ. OWL stands for Our Whole Lives. It's 27 weeks long, and it's a whole thing. So I am facilitating OWL, and we decide to have a weekend-long lock-in where we're going to go through like 5 sessions all in one go. It took a ton of coordinating and prep, and I think I was kind of exhausted before I even got there. But it's something I was really looking forward to. See, I went through OWL as a youth, and then again as a young adult. I really know how profound an effect it can have on someone's life. It completely changed mine. I was really lucky to grow up in a house that was probably going to have a lot of conversations about sexuality anyway, but OWL gave me this opportunity to have those conversations, not with my parents. And it gave me tools and really concrete ways to make sure that I was making informed decisions about my life. So I've become an OWL facilitator, and I'm really excited about it. But there is this one kid who is just a total pain. I mean, she cannot stop talking. She totally ignores any instruction ever and spends a lot of time trying to be really cool. And I know this kid. She's not a youth that I met through OWL. She's someone I babysat. She was there for my bridging, and I have been there for her pageants. We both grew up at the UU church, and we both grew up feeling like we were at the center of it. And she has been like this for most of the OWL course from the beginning. She had absolutely no interest in doing OWL, and it was like if she was going to have to do it, at least she'd make everyone else miserable with her. And we're at this slumber party lock-in, and it's 1 a.m, and lights off was a good 2 hours ago, and she will not stop talking to her friend. We have separated them, we have given stern talking tos, we have threatened parent phone calls, but none of it really seems to do anything. She still manages to get next to her friend in some area they're not supposed to be to chat it up. I was so mad. I was exhausted. I was worried about the other kids. I was really not in a place to be dispensing any kind of consequence. But I didn't really have an option because this was just the situation we were in. So one of my co-facilitators and I are standing in the hall trying to figure out what to do, trying to decide if we need to call a parent or not. Because at the heart of all this is just that we want her to have this information so bad. We want her to be able to make healthy choices for herself and feel like she has us to look to for answers to her questions, and like she will never be alone. It was one of those times where I was so frustrated and so tired that it felt like this was the microcosm of all my worries about this kid, and I had to figure it out right now. I wish I could say that we had a magical moment where she realized she was wrong, and I realized I was wrong, and we figured it out, and she was the perfect picture of engagement after that point. That 100% did not happen. The entire rest of the OWL course, we continued to push each other's buttons, and it was the most difficult practice of rising above and being the adult in the situation that I have ever been through. But I realized, as I was desperately trying to figure out how to get through to this kid, that she was probably going to be okay. Because I was so worried about her. Because I was worried about her with a group of adults with a group of other adults who had also facilitated my OWL course when I went through OWL as a kid. And she was at the heart of this community. We were going to take care of her. And that's really what having a UU community home means to me. We welcome each other back time and time again, and we always want to learn more and do better and push each other to try new ways of thinking. It means that even when it's hard, we love each other and take care of each other. Thank you. This folder isn't working out as well as I thought it would. We're going to begin our water communion now. Water communions are done many, many different ways throughout UU congregations. As was said earlier in the service, this year's water communion at UUCS will be a little different. You have probably taken notice of the 4 water pitchers around this circle. Each of these represents a cardinal direction, which in turn symbolizes letting go, growth, new beginnings, or joy. We are going to call the 4 directions one by one. And when you hear the direction that best represents your experience this summer, either literally or figuratively, simply line up behind that bowl and pour your water into it. After you've poured your water, go ahead and return to your seat via the aisle to your right. With love and joy, an affirmation of the home that we create together, we will now begin our water communion.
We begin with the South. For the Quiero Peruvian people, the South is represented by a serpent or great water boa, and the shedding of old wounds, ego, and parts of our physical body that no longer serve our highest selves. In some yoga practices, the South is also associated with rest and letting go of our attachments to our mind, body, and senses. Similarly, in Lakota tradition, the South is the source of life and also where people return to when they pass into the spirit world. If your travels took you south this summer, or you experienced a letting go of some kind, I invite you to contribute your water to the larger whole.
Next, we have the West. And in some pagan traditions, the West is connected to emotional health and intimacy. In the Quiero Peruvian culture, the West is also associated with emotional healing and is represented by the sister jaguar. If your travels took you west, This summer, or if you experienced emotional healing or growth, I invite you to contribute your water to our larger whole.
And the East. The Lakota tradition connects the rising of the sun to new beginnings and new understanding, as the sun shines light for us to see things as they really are. In some yoga practices, the East represents inspiration and a time of awakening. Some pagan cultures also use the East to represent the power of the mind. If your travels took you east this summer, or you gained some new understanding, or began a new stage in your life, I invite you to contribute your water to our larger whole.
finally, the North. Celtic tradition uses the North to symbolize home and security. The Quero-Peruvian tradition associates the North with the royal hummingbird, joy and magic, and infinite possibility. In some yoga practices, the North is representative of stability and unshakable conviction. If your travels took you north this summer, if you had a staycation, or if you found a new stability and joy in your life, I invite you to contribute your water to our larger whole. It starts with a drop, then a trickle, a burble, a rush of water bubbling toward its destination, and finally the wide, endless sea. All rivers run to the sea. Today you brought water, poured it into a common bowl. Though our experiences have differed, these waters mingle, signifying our common humanity. Today you came and shared in this sacred community. May you depart this sacred space, hearts filled with hope for new beginnings, a fresh start. Go forth, but return to this community, where rivers of tears may be shed, where dry souls are watered, where your joy bubbles, where your life cup overflows, where deep in your spirit you have found, in this place, a home. All rivers run to the sea.
And now something that might be familiar to most of you, and a favorite hymn that we have is number 1064 in your turquoise hymnal. Those of you in front should have one on your seat, or you can share, and those in the back could look under your chair ahead of you. It's Blue Boat Home, 1064. Please stand as you're willing and able. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land ship's companions, are we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great wind surging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
After we sing Shalom together, please follow us as we return the water to the earth in our memorial garden. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we meet again. Amen. Blessed be. Shalom Aleichem and Shalom.